Today, the Associated Press reported that according to Egypt's state information services, officials from Israel, Qatar, and the United States started, quote, intensive discussions on the second phase of the ceasefire deal. Meanwhile, in New York City, at Barnard College, which is an affiliated college of Columbia University, but a separate institution, there were pro-Palestinian protests. Yesterday, students staged a sit-in protest outside the office of Barnard College's Dean Leslie Gridgich. This was in the college's Milbank Hall. During the takeover, a Barnard College employee was assaulted, resulting in hospitalization. The protesters were demanding the reversal of the expulsion of 2 students. Last month, 2 students were expelled after they interrupted a History of Modern Israel class. The 2 students wore masks as they barged into the class and read aloud statements condemning Israel. Those pro-Palestinian protests continued today on Barnard College's campus. Columbia University student editor-in-chief of the student magazine, the Columbia Sundial, Jonas joins me. Nice to see you back again, sir.
It's that time of year again, Greta.
Indeed, it is that time of year where these protests start. Actually, these protests seem to happen when there's better weather, but that's another thing. Tell me what you know about these protests.
Right, so I got a notification that there were protesters storming a building at Barnard around 4 p.m. yesterday. So when I arrived, what I saw was that there were maybe 1 or 2 dozen protesters sitting outside the hallway of the Barnard College dean's office, protesting, chanting, putting up tape and stickers and posters with their demands, just overall making a ruckus. And I had friends who were there who told me that their classes had been canceled or that their professors who had to teach the classes at that hour could not even enter the building. So essentially, public safety shut down the entire building, and the protesters stayed there for about 6 hours, demanding negotiations with the president of the college and the dean of the college. And those, I believe, happened earlier today.
What are they chanting?
They're chanting what we've been used to hearing, right? Things like intifada, things like resistance until return, Zionism will fall. A lot of, essentially, I don't even think it's mainly pro-Palestine. It's mainly anti-Israel at this point. And a lot of it is defending or supporting the terrorism that has been going on. So it's much of what we're used to that we're hearing.
All right, they wore masks. Actually, we've seen the video that they're wearing masks. Do you know or have any sense of whether or not these are Barnard students or Columbia students, or if these are outsiders?
Well, Greta, the campuses of Columbia and Barnard have been on lockdown. They've been ID access only essentially since 10/7. And so my intuition is that these are primarily Barnard students, probably a couple of Columbia students thrown in there as well. But, there's still a small but passionate group of anti-Israel protesters that are causing disruptions. And Greta, the thing is that these students, the issues they are protesting at this point are issues that they've created themselves. As you said, they 2 or 3 of them decided to disrupt a class. The professor was teaching a class on the history of modern Israel. It was a very nuanced syllabus that he was presenting to the class, and they barged in. They handed out anti-Semitic posters depicting, a boot stamping on a Star of David, and disrupted the class. And so the Barnard students, they were expelled. And now, instead of accepting the consequences for their actions, they've decided to protest the expulsions, right? And so this is the sort of conundrum the college is in, right? Because if they had called in the police to arrest the sit-in protesters, the protesters would have then protested the police coming in to arrest them. So it's an endless cycle, and it's not clear exactly how this ends.
Are the students named, and do the students want to even come back to school?
The students are not named. They were second semester seniors, so just a couple months out from graduation, and they were expelled by Barnard College. It is true that Columbia and Barnard have seen disruptions of classroom activity as sort of one of the highest levels of offenses that you can commit at this school.
Jonas, as always, thank you for joining us again. Thank you.
Thank you, Greta.
People think news just happens. It doesn't. It happens because there's someone there to capture the moment, to explain it and share it. That's my job. I go where news breaks and give you the facts. Join me for The Record on Newsmax.